People think I've been proactive.
Yes.
Very.
And yet you're such a busy mother, but you're there.
And that part, please, I beg
Yeah,
you,
you're
don't
such a
forget
busy
that
mother,
part.
but you have been there.
You guys, at one time I had 7 teachers.
Let's start.
Yes,
We may talk to you
7
tomorrow.
teachers.
Yes.
I was working for my son's education
We'll talk to.
and trained them. And over which ones? Over where? Anyway,
You have carried, you have gone here, you have
story.
gone there. You know, I want that part. You've carried him here, you've gone and studied this model, you went to Dubai, you went where? I want you to say all those
America.
things. And then
She went to America.
Then you have
Yeah,
come
that
back
time when
home.
they first sat
She
down for
surpassed
some
me.
time.
Yes.
No.
Then
I went
want her to
before
say
her.
that
Then
eventually
she.
the solution was in her home.
Yes.
In her
I went twice, alone, then with him,
Oh, you
then
went
with
through
him.
the alchemist
Yeah.
journey.
Which is alchemist?
No,
The
sunrise.
No, she's just, I know what she's saying.
Huh?
There's a
There's
book,
a
The
book called
Alchemist.
The
Yeah.
Alchemist.
Alchemist.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So I want her to bring all that in, how she looked for them and then eventually the solution.
Is at home?
Yes. And is it working? He's not where he should be, but he's not where he used to be.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That is it.
The show is finished.
And you
The
also
show
have
was
to
not
bring
finished.
this new highlight of the words
after
are
you.
now coming.
Yes. Because I was told
That's why we go
after
out in
age
that
4,
garden.
speech is finished.
Yeah.
Now I want to demystify that statement.
please.
Because Jeremiah is now saying, go out. You saw the video. Yes.
Come and we start our show.
Okay, let's start.
Atulaba, are you seeing us?
I like
Kaya
that you bring it
tutandike.
back.
There's nothing in my DNA that has giving up in it. It is not there.
No, that is
Amen
very
to
true.
It's just not
This
there.
We know that.
That's not there. When I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So help me God.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen
And
to
on
that.
that note,
I know the mics are dropped.
I mean, what else do we need? Yeah. Hi, viewers. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our show where we discuss all things autism and more. I'm Claire, and I'm here with Irene and Patricia. And today we are joined by a one Judith, mother to Jeremiah, mommy Jeremiah. And today we're going to discuss all things autism, and we're going to focus on education. Mommy Jeremiah is passionate about educating our children on the spectrum. They are so different, and so how do we teach them? And we will also get to see that education is not just in the classroom. Judith, you are very welcome to this show.
Thank you, Claire. I'm very, very excited to be here. And there's just no other place I would rather be. Thank you so much. Ladies,
Let me sit down. Shall we sit?
I think
just
so.
have a
Thank you.
discussion?
Thank you
Sure.
very much. Let's have a seat.
So Judith, welcome. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Yes, we have watched, all of us, your journey, parenting Jeremiah, and we are really fangirling over you from the sidelines, really, what you've achieved and the journey you've been on. So maybe before we start talking education, just tell us about you, a little bit about Jeremiah, and then we'll go into the other bits and pieces. So share freely about your journey, this autism journey, yes, with Jeremiah.
Okay, my Jeremiah, I gave birth to him 17 and a half years ago. So we're celebrating sweet 18
Ooh, nice.
in August.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. Yes, I'm very, very excited. I gave birth to Jeremiah 17 and a half years ago. You can say and a half year, around there. And everything around him ticked 20 out of 20, by the way. So he was a regular child and achieved all his milestones until the age of 2, when I noticed that I came back home as doing an expatriation job. So I got back home and found Jeremiah. He was sort of withdrawn. He wasn't too excited to see me. I bought all these toys like every mother does. And Jeremiah was not the child who ran to me and hugged me and took the toys. So I thought maybe he's unwell, maybe he's quiet. But something within me just triggered, why isn't this child responding the way he always did? So I thought maybe he's tired, maybe he has a flu. But anyway, fast forward, I observed him. He wasn't looking at me. He wasn't playing with the toys I'd given him appropriately. Playing appropriately with a car is when you give a child a car and they ride it. They push it forward. They drive it. They make the sound of the car. You see them participating with the car. So it's really, really, they're playing with the car appropriately. So I noticed Jeremiah wasn't doing that. But then I thought, well, maybe he's just not in the mood. Then I looked again at him, and there's that thing, the gut feeling within the parent that there's something about this child that's just not this child. Jeremiah is my second child. So I just thought, the sister never behaved like this. And so, like every mother, I took him to see a doctor. And the doctor said, no, everything looks fine. He's not coughing. We did a medical exam. Everything was fine. And I thought, yeah, you'll be fine. So I took him back home. They said, yeah, maybe he misses you. Maybe you're not around, blah, blah. So I left him. Went back to work, got back after a while. And then I noticed this child was dropping speech. Up to the age of 2, he was saying hello, bye-bye, car, banana. He had all these, a set of words that he said, more than 20 words, which was appropriate and decent. And then I thought, this child is missing a set of things. He's dropping the words. He's not even looking at me. So the eye contact is important. And these are things that parents or guardians should be looking at. How is this child responding to you? Don't think, maybe they're not in the mood. Maybe you observe. You're the first teacher, parent, doctor, everything.
Yes.
So I noticed this child was not responding the way he always did or should. I started reading about the right milestones for a child. Now I was reading for boys and girls. So what was normal, what was abnormal or irregular? At that point, I did not know anything about autism or anything really. I didn't suspect there was something really, really wrong, but I thought, what's happening in this child's mind? Oh, by the way, he was going to school at that point.
Also by 2 he was
by 2. Normally my kids, they started by the age of 1, they were in school. I took them there because I wanted them to socialize. So I wasn't taking them to school to learn how to write, but I wanted them to socialize with the right age of kids. I didn't want them watching TV and all of these stories. Anyway, I asked the teachers at school to plot down a few things for me. And they said, this is the most humble, quiet, non-disturbing child. So all these things you're calling discipline. For me, I thought, something is not proper. Every child should be inquisitive, should be doing certain things.
Yes.
So they were saying, he can organize all the pens and all the pencils. He knows where all the shoes are supposed to be. And in my mind, I was saying, is this child such an organized child? They know that the shoes are supposed to be paired like this. The pens are supposed to be organized like this. So all of these things that I later learned were isms that children on the spectrum or, people on the spectrum do. I kept seeing them. But and it was called a different name. My greatest concern was socializing. And by socializing, he was too quiet and withdrawn. And the second one, which everybody liked because they thought, who doesn't like a quiet child?
Because that's an easy child in school to manage. They don't
You
give
find him
any
where you
trouble.
left him.
Yes.
He's quiet. He's not
He
making
plays on
noise.
his own. He doesn't disturb anybody.
So I then thought there's something. I started the journey of finding out what the challenge was. I visited a set of hospitals. Interestingly, one of the diagnoses I got from a big hospital was this child is deaf.
Wow.
So I thought, he's deaf. Okay, that's interesting. What does it mean? They said he can't hear. This is why he's not talking. I said, he used to talk. They said, probably he got a condition and it wasn't picked up and he lost his speech. And I thought, that's very interesting because when I'm downstairs with him and he hears something on the TV upstairs, he runs up to the TV. What's prompting him? And they said,
A sound,
mother
of course.
needs counseling. She's in denial. I said, I'm not in denial. I have observed this child. So I decided to look for, to find that thing that was, why was my child dropping speech? It was baptized many names. I took him out of the country, fortunately, to understand what it was. And the first thing they talked to me about, when they saw Jeremiah, as I spoke about my concerns and all these things, at the age of about 2 and 8 months, the lady turned on the side and the doctor and spoke to the other, practitioner in the room. And the word I heard was, this is typical autism.
And you'd not had.
I did not know what that was. They said typical autism. I didn't know what that was. So, but I wrote it down. And then, they started talking. I noticed that they all went silent and, you could sense something suspicious in the room. But, in a foreign country, you're thinking, okay, I see 2 eyes and 2 ears. He looks like a human being like all of us. So then I thought, what is this? So I asked him, what is that? He said, have you heard about autism? I said, no, I haven't heard about autism. What is it? So they said it's a spectrum, it's a condition. They told me all these stories, communication, social skills. And I thought, okay, what does it mean? And how long will it take to correct it? Because I'm this person who puts time on everything. By this time, the child should, by this, at that point anyway.
Yes.
So I just thought, okay, what do we mean here? So I said, well, I have a diagnosis. They've done tympanometries. Those are hearing tests. They've done all these tests. We've checked here. This is his milestone when he was born. He achieved everything. We've gone through all the necessary things. I've always seen a pediatrician. So they just said, yeah, it happens. 1 in 4 boys, they have autism. So I said, okay, what am I supposed to do? So he would develop like this. They gave me a few stories around everything. And they said, early intervention. There's a few of those words, but you're hearing so much of a topic you haven't heard about. So, and you're alone in the room in a foreign country, you're thinking, what next? What am I going to do? I wasn't scared because I didn't know what it was. But I wrote it down, but I didn't write AUTISM. I thought autism. And I started reading about it. I started my journey of going to different schools.
Yes.
In one of the schools where he was then, they thought, we are not going to be able to manage this
This
child.
is here in Uganda.
Yes, then I brought him back to Uganda. They said, we are not going to be able to manage this child. Find him the right school. So I said, where is the right school? They said, you have to search for it as a parent. But you see, then I was working and I had other kids. And I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I didn't even know what I was working to correcting. Like, what are we working with?
Yeah.
I started looking for many therapists. They said you need an OT, you need an occupational therapist, you need a speech therapist, you need a physiotherapist, you need all these guys. We're talking almost 17 years ago,
Yes.
16 around there. And I thought, where do they find these people? So I went online. Of course, everybody does. Google is the best, teacher. I started asking people. Everyone always asks me, what happened to the child? What is it called in Uganda? Or is it something you've baptized?
You're making it up, eh?
I know.
Those questions.
I know.
This Muzungu disease.
These Muzungu diseases of a sophisticated woman
Yes.
who didn't breastfeed her child, who made all these mistakes, now is calling it a name.
She's doing it a name. She's not present.
So she's upset.
Was it a C-section? Yeah.
Yes. Did you breastfeed the child? Did you vaccinate the child? Did you give them that other herb? Did you do chogero?
Chogero,
Did you? So I was answering to and that drove me towards reading more. Like, how am I going to explain this thing to myself? How can I help this child?
Yes.
I met a set of other parents who were struggling with children on the spectrum. Some had cerebral palsy and autism. Some had autism alone. Some had different conditions. And of course, as a parent, you are vulnerable, and yet you are the primary caregiver.
Yes.
Then, at least at that time, even within the clinics and hospitals and the medical environment, the healthcare environment, there was not enough information that even if you walked in, autism is not a headache that they'll give you Panadol, or the child broke their limb, they need to put a cast.
True.
So it just looked like, okay,
A normal child? Either mukole echejo.
yes, of course, yes.
Omwononye.
In all ways, it looks like a spoiled child.
Yes.
I can tell you, I was asked to leave a church
Because of the tantrums.
because the child will throw a tantrum and interrupt the service. And then the senior lady said, until this child is more disciplined, you want to leave them at home. And I thought, okay, if even in a church my child is not welcome, that specific church, then I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to take the others there, because my very, very clear position is, if Jeremiah is not welcome to a place, all of us are not, including me.
Yes.
So I started doing that. I would go to play centers and, I wanted my child to interact with other children, because as much as I have read and I know, a child must interact to learn. But all the spaces that I took my child to interact, there was always that unwritten look.
Of you're not welcome.
This spoiled child. They're not even potty trained. They're not even... So, I felt judged, and I was judged in many instances. There's a lot of stigma. But there's also the parent not knowing what to do and looking for a primary or a caregiver, somebody who can understand what to do with the child. Then a child, because then he was young. So now I was thinking, this world has rejected my child. Where can I put the child? I want this child to be trained out there. I was experiencing a lot of things. I would write down things. I would read a lot of things, try a lot of, it's try and error.
Yes.
Today he's crying the whole night. I don't know why he's crying. You run to the clinic and say, I think the child is unwell. Can you check if he swallowed a lion?
Something.
And I just can't see it.
Yeah.
Then they're also looking at you with suspicion. What's happening with him?
At home, what is going on?
So you're thinking, he has autism, comma, can you please? Autism is not his whole self. Can we check if he's not unwell? Please, because he's also unable to express it.
Himself.
And
yes.
I was not with him the whole day. I was working. So can you please use a lot of knowledge and check the child?
Yes.
So you have to answer. You become the default spokesperson,
For this child, the
And
advocate.
the advocate.
That's it.
So you are the mother and advocate
Yes.
and caregiver, and you have to pay a lot of attention. Are his eyes looking right? Does he have a headache? Does he have temperature? And where could the pain be? So does he have a stomach ache? Where a regular child would be holding their leg, and you
Yes.
think this is, for this one, you're not sure. And there's a lot of pressure because you're at work and somebody at home or at school where he was then, they are calling you to say, come for the child, he's been crying since you dropped him at the gate.
You have to work.
You stop breathing.
Stop breathing.
Then you run.
Yes.
So you stop even notifying the people at work that the child is crying, because how old is your child? They keep crying and you have to go there. Did you just give birth yesterday? Is that the 5-year-old? That's the one who is making you run back home. He's in school. He's 8 years old. He's the reason you're running back home. Are you on the scale of 1 to 10? What type of mother are you?
Yeah.
Then I thought, okay, this child is in school. I changed, of course, schools. You keep hopping from this school to another. You find somebody who tells you my child has learned this in another school. Then you think, I think they have a good caregiver there. You run
Let
there.
me take them there.
Then while you're there, the parents in that school, the sports day, your child is isolated because they were not able to be trained to do other things, to participate. So you go up for the sports day and hope that your child will at least have the ball and throw it somewhere. And after 4 hours, your child has not been involved. Naturally, as a parent, you want to pull that child out. Away from the parents saying, are you the mother of Jeremiah? Okay.
You wonder what that
They look at you with those eyes of judgment.
So you pull the child out. But now, for me as a parent, there's one thing that I want to talk to the parents about. You're not a victim. And when you play the victim card, you disadvantage the child.
Yeah.
Because now if you're a victim, who is going to advocate for your child?
Exactly.
I mean, this statement that Saba government here to Yambe, it doesn't work on these children. They are as different as they are. So if we have 100,000 in this country, there are 100,000
Yeah.
different variations of autism.
I like that.
So as a parent, you can't be the victim. You work with the caregivers. You work with what you have. He has 2 hands. He has 2 legs. He can breathe. He's breathing. He can eat. You start teaching. There are things which are not taught at school. In a physical 4-wall building, XYZ International School, primary school, etc. They don't teach brushing teeth.
No.
They may not teach eye-hand coordination. So you sit down and do a reality check and you say, you know what? What do I want out of this? What can I get out of this? What can't this child do? Not what can this child do. Those are different. When you say what can this child do, you have a very small list.
Yes, you're limited.
You're
You
limited,
box them.
yes.
When you say what can't this child do, you start thinking this child can do all these things. You see, there are 26 letters on the alphabet. So if A fails, you go to plan B. Then B fails, you go to B1.
Not even C, but B1.
You create it. Are you with me? Then B1 works today, tomorrow it stops working.
Yeah.
Then you go to C. So you go to C1A. You make it work. Is it going to work after a day? No, don't give it time. Work on it. We set standards for these children or adults now, which we don't set for other. So when Jeremiah breaks a cup, everybody would say, Jeremiah broke a cup. Is an adult who hasn't broken a cup. So what is normal and what is not normal? The children are different. You see, even in birds, there are eagles and there are flamingos, right? So there are things which eagles do that other birds don't do. But they're all what?
Birds.
So can we let the eagle do what the eagle does in the space where the eagle can survive?
Yes.
Are we together? This is how you do it. And this is, for me, how I started reflecting on this thing differently. That what can I make out? What is the thing? If there are all these colors on the spectrum, how can we make Jeremiah paint better than Picasso did? That is the $1 million question I'm answering. If he doesn't like to paint with red, can he paint with blue? If he doesn't like this, see, art is so big. Can he draw still life, nature? Can he do calligraphy? Can he do pots? What about art can he do? Is there a school that teaches all of that? Can they admit him? If they can't, how do I know that my child can paint unless I try to? I say that for the next 12 months, he's going to learn to paint. We have heard and been told that these children, they have that one special, sorry to refer to them as children, they have that one special skill, like all of us.
Yeah.
All of us in our DNA, God has put something.
Yeah.
How do I find it?
So it's like mining for gold.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're on an exploratory journey
Yes.
with the child, and that's, I think, what you're doing with the education. And what
I'm
you
walking
should
into a forest and saying, I've come in to cut a tree, but I've not defined the
the
tree.
tree yet. Oh, I like that. You're
Wow.
walking into a forest
yeah.
to cut a tree.
It's a huge challenge.
I know. I know.
I'm walking into a forest and I'm saying, it's a forest.
Yes.
There are many things that are going to eat me.
Yes.
I must survive. And I'm walking in with my son
Yes.
and we're going to cut a tree. When we see the tree, when I see him look at that tree longer than, even by 2 seconds, another tree, I'm going to make him cut that tree. And I would show him how. Mine is to show him how.
You know, Judy, what you're saying, you said so many things.
Yes.
I would love us to unpack them so beautifully.
Yeah.
That analogy alone, such a powerful statement. It's calling on parents to be present. Accept where they are. Accept the child as they are. And then be flexible. Plan A didn't work. Plan
What
B.
to be.
B1 didn't work. It worked for 2 days. It was good. Let's not force it. Plan C. Those are the things. Be present and brave. It takes courage. But
And me, just where were you?
when you were starting your journey, and
No, but it's so funny.
yeah,
The reason I've been quiet this whole time is because I think I needed to hear this. And I was telling this to Claire earlier. When you are a parent in this journey, just like everything else in life, there's stuff that you know, but you need to remind yourself.
True.
yes,
For a very long time, you might think that, because we sit here and we are on this show, it means we have everything
All the-
figured out.
We have all the
Our
answers.
children are, I don't know, A-lister, A-star, whatever. My friend, I have been struggling lately with managing myself to calm down and be like, when did you forget that you have to pace yourself with him, that he's not me. You know that thing
Exactly.
that we do
Such
where
a-
you
yeah.
extend yourself into your child
Yes.
and you start to have the expectations of him that you had of yourself. So you're putting him under excessive pressure in the wrong direction. And
yes.
so I've had to rebuke myself, stop myself, and like that. So when I'm listening to her, it's like she's reminding me of the things that I knew before, but I needed to hear again. So me, I'm just going to keep quiet and keep listening.
I know. This is Judith's show. She has to speak and just share because we are all
Such
learning.
gems.
I'm going to watch this episode again.
Yes.
Myself.
Multiple times.
I'm sure there's so many parents out there who
Yes.
are going to be blessed by this, Judith.
Yes.
That I posed this at the point where that analogy for me is going to stick, and I hope it sticks. You're walking into a forest, a jungle,
Yes.
Yeah.
And you must survive.
and you must survive because you're the one leading this child to that tree, which will tell their story, carve out their story.